Welcome, everybody. It is the 13th week of Movies, Music, and Mayhem. My name is Rachel Silvestrini. Thank you for joining me. This week I have a really fantastic guest. I've been a huge fan of his for many, many years. I was honored to finally get to meet him when I started into the Schmoedown as just a fan and then competing. He does such amazing work over so many different avenues. It is the one and only Jason Inman, and I don't know. Oh, there you are. I was like, I don't know why you're muted.
I wanted to make sure. It's like I wanted to make sure that nobody was hearing me like randomly breathing during your introduction. So
just
I didn't want the Darth Vader. Yeah.
No creepy phone calls here.
Yeah.
But hi, how have you been?
Good. Just fair warning. This morning, I've started doing this thing lately in quarantine where I've been running at night, which I realize is something very much that I can do because of the color of my skin. But also because the heat, it's so hot in LA. And last night I really dehydrated myself. So I've been like, this morning I was a little, there was a debate about like, do I want to do the show or do I not? And I just literally laid on the couch all day. So I was able to do the show.
Yay. Thanks for being lazy for me. I really appreciate that. Yeah. No, I've kind of been doing the same thing. I don't go for a run because I don't run. My joints are terrible. But I have like for the last like 2 weeks, I haven't been getting to sleep until like 4 a.m. So like around. I mean, I don't really do much during the day. I'm online a lot. I prep for the shows. I'm emailing a whole bunch, but like and like you said, it's really starting to get hot here in LA. So like it's really hard to like go out during the day to like work off any sort of energy. And so I've been like at 2 a.m. going out and doing like these 3-mile walks around my neighborhood, which is a blast, but I do it in my pajamas. So I look like I'm homeless. Yeah.
And I would bet every cop car like slows down. I was like, who is this?
Well, I don't wear a hoodie. So like they can see my blonde hair. It's terrible that has to be said, but yeah, I mean, I live in Glendale too. So it's like really safe. Like the most dangerous thing that's happened was 4th of July when somebody set off a firework like right in front of our driveway and it just sounded like a shotgun. And like that was the worst thing I think that's ever happened in Glendale.
I've been told though that Glendale is secretly like the car theft capital of LA.
Well, if they want to steal my car, they can go for it. Like I have a POS, so
I totally understand. I grew up, and I've said this several times. I grew up super poor in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and I can remember my mom not locking our car doors. And I remember when I was a little kid, I said to my mom was like, "Hey, like our coats are in here, our stuff's in here. Why not lock the doors?" And my mom said, "Well, if they're going to steal our coats or any of these groceries that we're buying, they definitely, obviously need them more than we do."
Yeah.
And I was like, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. We're poor.
And also, who wants to clean up glass? Like they can just open the door instead of break a window. Like I'd rather deal with like something being stolen out of my car because I left it unlocked versus coming back and seeing like my windshield or like a window smashed and then all of my stuff missing. Because then you just have to deal with broken glass, and you don't want to be finding those shards of glass in your ass like months later. That sounds awful. So a few things we like to do on Movies, Music, and Mayhem. We are obviously going to talk about all 3 topics. You have I think a lot of people who watch this show know you from the Schmoedown, and we all know that you've taken a step back. You have left an indelible print. Is that the right word? I don't know. English is hard today. You've left an incredible imprint on the Inner Geekdom League. Have you been watching any of the matches?
Not one bit.
Oh my God, that sounds so freeing. What do you do with all that time?
I work because I came out to LA to not be part of the Schmoedown. I came out to LA to be a writer. So I filled that time with writing. I'm writing a lot more than I've ever written. No, I don't watch any of it. It's a hard retire. I have no idea who is doing anything. I see a tweet from, like Mike Kalinowski or somebody here and there. And I'm just like, you guys are still fighting? Okay, whatever. It just seems tiring. So no, I have no idea. I mean, I honestly, I don't know. I was like, the Schmoedown's still going. No, I know the Schmoedown's going on. It was that
He's joking, Christian. It's fine.
Yeah. So no, I have no idea what is going on. And to be honest with you, it's so unbelievably freeing to just watch movies. Now I've been out for like 2 years. I've been retired for like 2018 was when I retired. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a long time. So no, it's been amazing. I mean, I can remember the exact moment when I was done. I know the exact moment where I was done when I started X-Men Origins Wolverine before the match with Mara.
Oh.
And I started it I was 20 minutes into it. And I said to myself, this is a god-awful movie. And I turned it off and I just said, and this was like 7 days. This was the weekend before that match. And I said, win or lose, I'm retired. I was like, if I win, I'll do another match. If I lose, I'm out. I'm done. Yeah. Because like, I am not watching movies like this anymore. I am done. This is not fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, if I win, I'll win until I lose. But like, I'm not studying anymore. That sounds so amazing. Because they're starting up the singles and the teams tournament soon. And the singles tournament for sure. I've got like 4 teams matches lined up, hopefully, if I keep winning. But yeah, it's incredibly stressful, and I'm so incredibly jealous of you.
You can leave at any time.
I know, but
that's what I tell everybody. I mean, I'll tell you what, before Mike Kalinowski went on his tear as the villain, right before I got out, he told me the year before he did that, he was like, you know what? I'm going to get back to acting. I'm going to stop the Schmoedown stuff. I'm spending too much time watching movies. And then what does he do? He watches every movie and is in like in every Schmoedown match for like 2 years. So.
Yes, as spoken by one of my favorite guests, X-Men Origins Wolverine has broken weaker people. Happy.
I love Eric Barnes. Oh, man.
Eric is fantastic. I had him on. We talked for like 3 hours, then like another hour and a half afterwards. Like,
oh, to be honest with you, Eric's match, not the last one he did, the one before that. Eric's first match was the last Schmoedown match I watched.
Oh, funny.
Because I wanted to support Eric, and I love Eric so much. So that was the last Schmoedown match I watched.
You should feel honored. That's amazing. And because you and Ashley stopped by the studio a few times after you retired. Yeah. Like, and by a few times, I literally mean like maybe twice. But you are loved and.
Oh no, Rachel froze. I believe Rachel is completely out, everybody, and we're still live. All right, so I guess this has become my show. Interesting. Rachel, what should we talk about? Actually, folks, I have no idea what to do here. This is interesting. I guess I have to vamp. I have no idea whether Rachel is coming back in this. I don't know whether she can come back into this. Oh, I'm back. Hey, go away, Rachel. This is my show now.
Okay. All right. Fine. Let's go drink my bourbon. I don't know what's been going on. Like, I've been online all day today, and like literally, like a half hour before the show starts, I'm using a new camera today. So let me know if anything. If you guys like this look, because we're just trying it out. But so my camera is starting to give me issues, and then the Wi-Fi starts like sputtering in and out, and I'm like, not today, guys. Like, can we just not do that? Like, can we do this tomorrow, and I can just fix everything? So it was like starting to go out, and I was like trying to test it all out, and it sputtered, and so it just did it again. And I was like,
well, it was a brief moment where it's a good thing I have a YouTube thing over here, because I was like, am I still on the air? I have no idea, and then I was.
Yeah. I literally just checked.
There was a moment where I was like, I guess I'm going to leave. Yeah. Come back in.
Oh, Weston. It's Brandon. It's all Brandon's fault. I mean, obviously, just blame Brandon. He's not even here, but let's just blame him. Yeah. Yes, I do have Spectrum. How did you know?
Because everybody in LA has to have Spectrum, basically.
I know.
They have monopoly. I have tried to get Verizon Fios so many times. Every time I move, I check for it and have never been able to get it.
That's so sad. But like we were saying, you have amazing work that has come out. I own, I think, everything you've released so far. I've got I've got Love is Love, which you did with Draco, and were very kind enough to sign for me the first time that I was in studio.
So nice.
Where's Science? I've got that over here too. Sorry, I'm so OCD. I'm like, and it has to go back exactly where it's supposed to. I've got Science somewhere. Oh, it's next to my bed, which is, oh no, it's right here. Guys, if you have not read this, please go find this at your local comic book store. Order it online. The link is literally like right, I can't point right now. I don't know. Yeah. It's below Jason.
If you buy it at that link, I will sign it, and I can send it to you however you want. People like have some like I had somebody buy copies of all my stuff and send it to their dad in Arkansas for the Father's Day,
cool.
Which was so cool, and I was like, oh, that's neat.
Oh yeah, and Jupiter Jet's here somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and Jupiter Jet 2 is going to be hitting in October.
Good. I was gonna grill you about that because I need more.
You can grill me all you want. You can talk about it.
So, guys, Jupiter Jet is fantastic. It is legit one of my favorite, like, female comic book characters. Like, she's just spunky and young and sure of herself, and not sure of herself at the same time. She's wonderful and strong-headed, and she's great. I absolutely love her. And you, who else did this with you? It was you and Ashley did it. That's right.
We correct. Ben Matsuya draws it,
which is gorgeous.
And we got him for the sequel as well, so he draws volume 2 as well.
I need him to start working on to get with Joelle. Is that her name? She did Lady Killers. Fucking fantastic line. Yeah. Like that artwork is just stunning. But so tell me a little bit about your work in comic books, because I know that it's extensive, but like
well, I've been in a whole bunch of anthologies that some people have read, some people haven't. It's whatever. We have Jupiter Jet, which was nominated for a Ringo Award for the best kids comic, which is a huge award because that was the whole point of that was the whole reason we made it, because we really were like, you kids really can't read Batman or Superman anymore because they're too adult. And so we wanted a comic book that like didn't talk down to adults, but you could hand to any age and they could also read it. So like kind of like the Pixar model is what we like.
I was just about to say like Pixar.
Yeah. But that's the way comic books, that's the way like Superman and Justice League and all those comic books I loved were when I was growing up, is that they were about very adult things, but they weren't just blood and mayhem that they are now, and even rape. Like rape is in Batman right now, and you're just like, really? Do we really need the Batman rape story? You can tell that story, but maybe that's only in the adults only line. But like in regular, the title just called Batman. There's all kinds of stuff like that, and you're like, I don't want to hand that to my nobody under 10 could read that book.
Yeah, no.
And so that's where like the inspiration came from it. Jupiter Jet also came from Ashley. One time said, she was like, I've always wanted to write a character called Jupiter Jet. And as soon as she said that, I immediately was like, it's a 16-year-old redhead with a jetpack. And
I mean, yeah,
from there it just exploded. And it's so cool because it's Jupiter Jet is like the love child of ours because comic books are so expensive, as people know. That's the reason why we do Kickstarters. And that's the reason why it's taken us 2 years to do volume 2. Because like we want to do 5 volumes for Jupiter Jet, and we're doing the Harry Potter thing where each volume skips ahead a year in her life. So like volume 1 is she's 16 in Jupiter Jet and the Forgotten Radio, which comes out in October. She's going to be 17, and each one is sort of going to like kind of be about like volume 1 was all her about like not having confidence, like not believing in herself. And volume 2 is very much about like a 17-year-old being like, I want to get out of here. I want to see the world. I know exactly how the world works, and let's do this. And then her finding out that the world does not work the way that she thinks it is. Like it's this issue that we all encounter. And it's for us, of course, because it's a sci-fi, like that world for her is very much space. So it's her going to be like, I want to go into space. And when she finally gets into space, it's not going to go the way she expected. So, so there's that. We did Science, the Elements of Dark Energy, which is really good. And then there's a bunch of various other stuff. And I have another comic book coming out later this year, hopefully around November, called Super Best Friend, which is sort of a Superman pastiche mixed with YouTube kind of stuff. Like what if you live streamed Superman all the time?
Oh God.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of like Mega Man-ish.
Yeah, well, no, it's like
Megamind.
Imagine if there was a person who always live streamed everything Superman did. And what would that be like? And and how would that complicate Superman's life? That's kind of what Super Best Friend is. That's
funny. So okay, that's amazing. That's so it's like somebody giving Buddy a live stream from The Incredibles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, imagine Buddy follows Mr. Incredible around all the time with a cell phone, live streaming to Twitch all the time.
Oh my God.
So
I need this TV show. I need it now, because I'm starting to run out of content.
So that's all the comic book work. Yeah. And then like I have a bunch of TV stuff that nobody's ever going to read unless it gets made. And then my book, Super Soldiers.
Which is fantastic. I bought as soon as that came out, I bought a copy for one of my best friends. He was an Army Ranger. I think he did 2 or 3 tours of Iraq. We met on Warped Tour, funny enough. We were on the same bus. And he's a youth pastor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Crazy combination of things. But he, is a very proud vet. And so when I saw your book was coming out, I'm like, I don't even need to know what it's about. Like I know Jason and I know Ben, and I like just bought the copy and sent it to him, and he loves it. It is one of his favorite books, and he's writing a book now. And like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's nuts. But that book, he as soon as I sent it to him and he got it, he's like, what is this? And I'm like, my friend wrote it, just read it. And he called me back like a week later and was like, I love this book. Like, this is
so good.
Perfect. Because he's like,
that's my hardest crowd for that book. I was always like, what will other veterans think of this book? Will they think it's stupid or will they really like it? The best one is I got an email from a guy that was going to basic training, and he said that he read my book Super Soldiers right before he went into Army basic training, and he said it made him feel like super confident about doing it. And I was like, oh, that's so good.
That's really good, because I was very much afraid that it was going to go the other way. I'm like, oh
yeah. No. He was, he really appreciated it. So I'm really glad, because it's like one of those books where I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to like this. And it's actually led me to consider about making my next book sort of like a fictionalized version of my time in Iraq, since everybody really responded to the military stuff. And I have an outline for that, but it's all this is why I don't commit the Schmoedown, is because I need the max. I don't have enough time to write all the things I want to write. And I don't need to be watching Wolverine Origins to take away from that.
So we do have a Streamlabs, guys. If you have any questions, Streamlabs link is up there. It's also in the description for the video. Send in your questions. I have one from Movie Fanobi. Wants to know, hello, Rachel. Jason is such a great man. I miss him in the Schmoedown, but I'm so happy for his work opportunities. Let's hope after the world gets semi-normal, both of your opportunities thrive. Hi to Ashley. Long live Jupiter Jet. Spread love, Steve. Steve, you are
thank you, Steve.
I absolutely love you. That's very, very sweet.
Very nice.
But you did, what was I going to say? I was going to ask, but yeah, so my friend Ben is like, he is, he's also a massive MCU like stan. So like we would go see, I think we went and saw Captain America and ended up standing outside of the theater for like 3 hours, like just picking it apart and talking about, like, he was telling me all about like the military accuracies of, the movie and everything. And he loved your book.
So great.
Yeah. And you got to,
go ahead.
Did you get to work on Seal?
Seal.
The TV show? What was the TV show you worked on?
No. I worked on The Code.
That's what it was.
So it was like a 1-season CBS show about Marine lawyers. I thought it was a great show, and but CBS pushed us quite a bit in terms of they kept pushing our air date So we premiered on like a Monday, and then they moved us to a Tuesday, and then like halfway through the run, they moved us to a Thursday. So nobody could find the damn thing. And then CBS was like, "Why are your ratings so low?" And it's like, "Well, because you kept moving us."
Jerking us around and no one can find us.
So nobody, but that's led to the second show that I'm on right now, that I'm still on, which is under such a big NDA that I cannot talk about it.
Oh,
I've been on that show since October of last year.
Has it already aired?
No.
Oh, so this is something brand new.
Yeah, not really. Well, October-ish, you know. I still keep waiting for them to announce it in somewhere so I can talk about it, but I can't say anything about it until they announce it.
So guys, keep posted. Follow Jason on Twitter and and Instagram, and keep your eyes open for any posts. I'm sure we will be like just waiting with bated breath. And Ryan, that was a great show. Who doesn't love Dana Delaney?
Yeah, she was our like general. She was like the boss character. Yeah, and we had Luke Mitchell and Philippa Sue was on our show.
That girl.
Yeah, the Philippa Sue. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I was very excited to see the Hamilton movie, because I'd never seen her sing. So I was like, oh, this will be interesting, because I've only seen her as a lawyer.
Oh my god. It's like saying you've only seen Sinatra as an actor and not like, oh, that's insane. Sorry,
yeah,
but like,
yeah. Basically, it was kind of that way. Yeah.
So like, were you on set for her? Like, she wasn't like singing on set, or?
I didn't get to go on a set for The Code, but I did talk to her on the phone a couple of times, and she was quite lovely.
She is the loveliest. I have actually bumped into her in New York between doubles. So like Saturdays we'll have like 2 shows in New York.
Yeah.
And so, everybody goes out, runs off to Chipotle on 9th Avenue to like grab dinner between shows, and then runs back to their dressing room to like touch up the makeup that they shouldn't have smudged by eating. And I literally like rounded the corner and like bumped into her, and she's just so slight and sweet and wonderful, and she's everything you want. But you watched Hamilton, right?
Oh yeah. We watched it on Sunday. Yeah.
And how did you feel?
I mean, here's my own. I'll tell you my Hamilton story.
Yeah, please.
So I refused to listen to the soundtrack until I could see Hamilton. And I didn't get to see Hamilton until 2008, like late 2008, because I saw it when it came here to LA.
Right.
But of course, because it blew up in pop culture, like I heard My Shot like 50,000 times before I got to see Hamilton. But I kind of feel like, a musical, I want to experience the music when I get to see it on stage. I don't want to hear it and have any like, I don't want to have any weird opinions. It's kind of like reading a book before you see a movie, or vice versa. I don't like it when one taints the other. I want to see it in its original format. I really loved it when I saw it in the Pantages. When I saw the film version, I mean, I like it. It's a solid play. It's the Star Wars of Broadway musicals, but it really is. I
love that comparison.
I mean, when I saw it on stage for the first time and it ended, I literally said, oh, this must be what it felt like in 1977 to see Star Wars, because Hamilton is so different and fresh, and the way they stage it and the turntable and the set is so simple. And it's the idea that they took the medium and they flipped it on its head, and you're like, oh, I've never seen a Broadway musical anything like this. I loved getting to see the original actors. Like I can't remember Chris, what's his name, who plays Washington. I thought was fantastic and stuff like that.
So good.
Yeah, but I do feel you lose something with watching the film of a stage version. Like it didn't have the same energy. I still enjoyed it, but I wasn't wowed by it.
That's fair.
But man, what an awesome feat for them to be able to be like, we're on Disney Plus, and like 1 billion people watched us this last weekend.
Yeah, right. And continues to watch us every single day. Eric wanted to say congrats on Jason's writing position on Breaking Badder.
Oh my God, I wish I was working with Vince Gilligan, my friend. No, but I am working on a show that I know Vince Gilligan would like.
Oh,
little hint
you
there.
are dropping like such tiny breadcrumbs.
I can't say anything.
I know. I'm not trying to get you, but you're just dropping these tiny little things.
The people that I have told, their brains have gone. So,
excellent.
I just can't say it on the internet. I can't.
So we'll talk afterwards, is what you're saying. Cool. Yeah, I definitely love the fact that they were able to record Hamilton. Like I actually told people the exact opposite. Like I understand the whole like not wanting to have a tainted opinion going into something that monumental, but I also think that like it's so different from other musicals in the fact that by listening to the cast record, normally you listen to a cast recording and it's like you're missing, like you can't put the show together by listening to the cast recording because there are spoken scenes between and like staging that is very important to the story. Whereas with Hamilton, it's you're literally listening to the cast recording from beginning to end with very few things that are missed. Like there's not a lot of things on stage that are not on the cast recording. And so for that reason, I would always tell people, look, the show is so stunningly, fantastically beautiful and choreographed wonderfully and staged, and the lighting is fantastic. You don't want to be distracted by trying to keep up with the lyrics because you're trying to keep, you're trying to understand the story and what's going on. So like, I would always advise people to listen to the cast recording at least once before you see it. So that when because I mean, back in the day, like getting a ticket to Hamilton, like you would have to like go in a back alley and like volunteer a virgin for sacrifice in order to get tickets.
When I was working for DC, I went to New York Comic Con 3 years in a row. I think it was like 2015, 2016, and 2017. And 2016 was when we went there and Hamilton was finally open. And Ashley and I debated it because we were like, oh, I don't know. But the cheapest ticket we could find, and this was like nosebleeds, back, obstructed angle.
300?
No, it was $800 per person. Yep. And we were like, we can't pay more than our rent to go see a Broadway musical.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would have loved to have gotten to see the original cast. Like I would have loved to have seen Lynn play Alexander. Like that to me would have been fantastic. I think I would pay more money to see him in The Heights than I would in Hamilton. But I know, like, I remember when that was, like, I was working on Broadway when that first came out. And I just remember all of, like, people were literally, like, selling, like, carrying around thousands of dollars in cash on them on the streets of New York in the hope that they might strike up a conversation with a stranger who's going to sell them a magical ticket to this, wondrous Willy Wonka land of, I mean, which is funny because there was a Willy Wonka musical on Broadway a few years later that kind of failed, but still.
I was Grandpa Joe in a production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, were you?
Oh yeah, I can still do it. That voice too. It was always like, I was always like, Charlie, what are we going to do? Yes. It was like, I've got a golden ticket. Yeah. Always back in the throat. You may not know this about me.
Kid.
And a lot of people may not know this about me, but like I have a theater/film degree. So part of my scholarship when I was in college is that I had to audition for every play. And because I never intended to be an actor, didn't care, never been intended to be an actor, but I loved improv. Improv was always my thing. I'd always do improv, and I'd always do like voices and stuff like that. I always wanted to do like VO and on the side. But because I would go into every audition with a I don't give a fuck attitude, I got cast in everything.
Because you were so relaxed and natural, just kind of whatever.
So like, so I've played Captain Hook in Peter Pan.
Oh,
I've played Tom Sawyer in Big River. I played Amos in Chicago.
Oh, so like, just throwaway parts.
Yeah. So like, I can sing, Rachel. I can sing.
Guys, just so you know, for those who are not musical theater inclined, in the movie Chicago, Amos was played. Oh my God, his name just went right out of my head. This is what happens. Yeah, by John C. Reilly. Like that's incredible. And actually, Mr. Cellophane is one of my favorite songs.
It's probably the best song. it was probably the best song. I remember when I auditioned, I really wanted Billy Flynn, and I got irritated that I didn't get Billy Flynn, but I think Amos is the better part, so it worked out in the end.
Well, I mean, Reach for the Gun is one of the most incredible musical numbers in music, in like music history or in theater history. Like it's so much fun. Depending on how the choreography works, it can be really fantastic.
Rachel, I want to ask you a question, because this is a conversation that I've been having with Ashley for like the last week, ever since the Hamilton musical film. And since you're a Broadway head and you've worked in a lot of theater, I'm very curious about your perspective on this. What do you feel? We were talking about these Hamilton magical tickets and $800 a ticket, thousands of dollars for a ticket. Theater was always the art form of the poor and the destitute. In the time of Shakespeare, it was 5 pence to walk into the floor and watch Romeo and Juliet. And now the cheapest ticket you could find for a Broadway musical is maybe $40, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And it just goes up from there. What do you feel about this, that like Broadway has now become, or even musical theater and theater in general has become, the art form of the rich?
I feel like it's because I do. I have all of those feelings. Like it's growing up, I was a theater kid. I didn't perform a lot, but I appreciated it. Like I was like 5 years old running around the house singing Dance 10 Looks 3 from Chorus Line, which shocked my parents how I turned out somehow. Hi Mom, by the way, my mom's listening. She
is she?
Yeah, she tunes in when she cooks on Thursday nights. So my mom listens. Hi Mommy. But like I love theater. I think my what was it? Chorus Line was my first show when I was 8. And then I went and saw Les Mis and Miss Saigon when I was like 9 and 10, and like realizing that like after I worked in the industry for so long, I look back at that and I'm like, how did my parents take a family of 5 to the theater? And we always had like really good seats. But like thinking about that now, even like off Broadway, like just like the tours, like the Broadway tours that come through towns,
it would have been pricey.
You're looking like nowadays to take a family of 5. There's no children discounts. Those are just seats. That's at least, I mean, at the Pantages, the seats that we usually got would be at least like $700 to take a family of 5. Probably. That's insane. And they were taking us when we were like little, when like you didn't know if they were going to behave and you were going to have to walk out. Like,
well, and I think that's important too, because like I was forced to see Macbeth when I was like 8 years old, because there was like a traveling production, and my mom was like, we're going to go see it. And I think that's something that like you need to be exposed to, especially theater. I think theater and stuff early, because you need to have this appreciation for it, or you need to understand the art form, because I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people look at theater as goofy. And to me, it's like, no, it's just a different medium than film. Like theater has its strengths, so does film have its strengths. But just because you can't edit doesn't mean like, I mean, I think Hamilton proved it. It's like the power of that writing and the power of their performances. Who gives a good goddamn whether they can edit away? Like it looks amazing and it's astounding. And it has become this huge thing. So much so that Disney was like, let's put it in movie theaters.
Well, Disney took a look at that and just saw dollar signs rolling through their eyes like a cartoon dog, because that's what they do. And of course,
and I don't blame
gold. Like, good on them. Good call.
Here's another conversation that Ashley and I have been having lately too. When you're younger and you're interested in media or you're interested in art, you want to do this, right? I would say like probably pre-25, probably even pre-30. I don't know. I don't know where the breakdown happens, but you're always like, that person doing the Disney movie, they're such a sellout. Or, that person that sold their important work, they sold out. And it's like, no,
they achieved their dream. There's a difference.
That money is life-changing. You will look, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you that there's no details. Last year, a company contacted me to buy the rights, the film rights to Super Soldiers, which at first I was like, why do you want the rights to a nonfiction book? And it eventually paid out. It didn't pay out. It didn't happen. But like we went through a couple things, And the money that they were going to offer me was, I mean, wasn't life-changing, but it would have paid my rent for like 3 to 4 months. And I was like, I can't say no to this. Like, who cares? Like, I don't care what they do with it. That money is life-changing. So there's a certain point in your life, I think, for every artist. You know, I've heard the same thing with J.K. Rowling, where people are like, "Oh, why did she come back to do Fantastic Beasts? It ruined the franchise." And then her later tweets ruined the franchise. But at first,
no, she
ruined it. She's
she
the Voldemort.
ruined it.
She's the Voldemort. Anyways, but you know, with Fantastic Beasts, everybody was like, "Oh, why did she do it?" And it's like, because Warner Brothers came to her and said, "We'll give you $100 million," and you're stupid if you say no to that money.
That is beyond what is referred to as "fuck you" money. That's like not even like side eye money. That's like you don't exist to me money.
Yeah.
Like,
so that whole idea of like, oh, they sold out, like it goes away. It like it completely. But I was this person too. I know I was that person, and I would read those stuff, and you'd be like, oh, what a sellout. Spielberg's doing a Ready Player One. Ugh, you know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Spielberg sold out by those definitions.
It was the best I could pull, but I was like, yeah. They did it because they gave him $5 million to do it.
Because that's the dream. That's what you're working towards. Nobody ever wants to be like, I want to suffer and like struggle for the rest of my life. No. And I think that feeling goes away like right around your mid-20s. Because like your early 20s are spent like you're invincible. You can do no wrong. You're never gonna die. Everything is great. Everything is through an Instagram filter. And then things start to happen in your life. And then you start to struggle, and then you start struggling more and more, and you realize that you're just like this snowball rolling down a hill, and there's no end in sight.
No.
And so when somebody like sells out, according to your younger self, you're like, no. Somebody literally just stopped you from rolling downhill. Somebody helped you walk back up the mountain. Like it is.
They wanted to not pay rent for a couple of months, or not pay the mortgage for a couple of months. That's what they wanted. And it's like, that's
get out of
debt. All want. Yeah, that's what we all want.
Yes, you can't pay rent with industry cred. 100%.
Yeah,
you can get your bar tab picked up with industry cred, but you can't have your rent picked up.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's the whole reason why you know, we all want to be George Lucas. We don't want to be Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah.
Like Steven Soderbergh is, I think, a fantastic film director. He's so great. And I'm pretty certain he's very rich. Anyways. But you know, just in terms of comparison, you know, he's not selling companies for $4 billion rich.
Yeah.
I mean, George Lucas sold Star Wars for $4 billion. And then here's how rich he was. He was like, you know what? I'm going to give it all away. He gave it all away to charity. He didn't even take that $4 billion. But that's the dream, right?
I try to ignore that because it like hurts my heart. And I'm like, please, can I have $1? Like
it's more money than we'll ever see in our entire lives.
Like that amount of money, I would do some pretty awful things for. $4 billion. That's a B. Yeah. Like that's a lot of zeros. I can't even I don't even want to. I think it's like 12 zeros. That's insane.
Yeah.
But going back to the question about like theater for the rich versus the poor, I really do love the fact that especially like there's now a streaming service called Broadway HD.
Yeah.
That you can join, and it's phenomenal. And like you know, they do the special events in movie, or they used to do the special events in movie theaters where you could go and watch. I know that Newsies did a recording, which is obviously now on Disney Plus as well. But they did that. They taped that down here at the Pantages, and I was actually supposed to be here for those days, which made me really angry that I couldn't. But I mean, Jeremy Jordan was there, like the whole original cast, plus like a mix of like the touring cast, and it was amazing. But I love the fact that they're really starting to do these high-end recordings of these shows, just even for posterity. And on top of that, like, and you can join Broadway. I can watch them, but like one of the Fathom events that I went to was Zachary Levi in She Loves Me with Jane Krasinski, and I was weird. I had no idea that he like had that musical ability in him beyond like you know being a Disney prince. but like
Well,
sometimes you can kind of fake that. But like here he is live on stage on Broadway.
It is standard procedure right now for like almost any play on Broadway, straight play or musical, that they film it. They film it at least once.
Yeah.
And I know that like Disney did this special, they did this, but I still think, like Broadway HD, and Broadway has shut down until next year. And there are all these behind the stage people. There are all these lighting people. There are all these costume handlers, makeup people, and even the background ensemble that are just not going to work for the next 6 months. And to me, I cannot believe, because there are some Broadway plays that were live that I would love to see. I have yet to see Dear Evan Hansen. I just haven't been able to make it happen.
It was supposed to be at the Amundsen.
I know. Where's that? Netflix, buy it. I will watch it the first weekend it comes out. Aaron Sorkin made that version of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh my God.
I want to see that. Where's that?
PJ went and saw that in New York, and it's unbelievable. He like
really, I've heard it's good.
He just walked out. I was like, "How was it?" And he just like started crying again. I'm like, great.
I really think like all the major Broadway theaters should team up, whether that's on Broadway streaming or whatever. They should team up. They should put them all behind a paywall, and then just say charge $50. I would pay it because that's less than that ticket. And it all goes to a fund that benefits these out of work Broadway on stage and behind stage people.
I would really love to do that because that was my source of income. Like my last job was going on tour with John Leguizamo with his one-man show. We were here at the Amundsen for like 6-7 weeks, and then we did 9 weeks of tour, and it ended right before Christmas. And I got went home, visited my mom for Christmas, came back. It was January. Started applying for jobs, and then the world shut down, and I've been out of work this entire year because the industry that I've worked in, both on the music side and the Broadway side, is non-existent. And so for them to do something along those lines to help us out, that would be huge, because there have been a lot of us that like, you have to show, there's a lot of nonprofits that are around that like, you have to show that you lost work because of it. Like saying that like you had signed a contract to do a show and it got canceled. But it's like, what about all those other people who, were out of like between gig lighting people or merch people or, seamstresses for, LaDuca, and like just it's unbelievable.
Did you hear about the Creative Comics auctions that happened a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was very similar, and like we like did this whole Jupiter Jet package for it, but it was part of Bink, the Bink Foundation, which I think is for independent bookstores, and comic book stores are a part of that. But it was this idea that all these comic book creatives donated stuff, did auctions on Twitter, and then the idea was that the fund would just all go to support comic book shops. That today it is always a good time to support anybody on Patreon.
Right up there.
Yeah.
Hang out. It's fun. I love you, Eric. Give me money. I love you.
But that's what they did the kind of the same thing. They all bounded together to like give money to the comic book retailer since comic book stores were shut down. Yeah.
It's like you have to support the people that support the things that make you happy. And it's like, it's not just, which is why it's becoming very apparent of which bands people are going to continue to work for. Because a lot of bands have been like, oh yeah, no, we've been selling like, special merchandise for the coronavirus and stuff like that. But like, that just goes to support like us and the record company. And it's like, but you have your lighting guy and your guitar tech and your
roadies,
your drum tech, your truck drivers, the venue, like there are so many people to support beyond you who earn like $1 million a show. Like spread the wealth, take care of the people who take care of you. And everything is going to be fine after this. So we just need to like band together. But there's actually, somebody made me aware of this, and I can't remember what it was, but British National Theatre on YouTube every week releases a show, but it's only available for like 8 days. So it's available from Thursday to Thursday. And so every Thursday you can watch both shows from the previous weeks. They overlap and then they like come into a new one. And the last week's was A Midsummer's Night's Dream, which is something that it's a show that everybody has seen
Yeah.
Exhaustedly. But this one had Gwendolyn Christie in it as Titania.
All right.
And they did some like gender bending like of the roles. So like instead of
perfect
Titania,
Shakespeare play to do it for.
Exactly. But instead of like Titania falling in love with Bottom the tailor who turns into the ass, it was actually what's his name? Tiburon? The king.
Oh, God, why now you're why can't I pull his name? Oberon.
I was like, Oberon. It's something odd. I know what it is. But they have like this great scene where like the guy who plays Bottom and the guy who plays Oberon are like dancing together, and they are doing it to Crazy in Love. Or not Crazy in Love, but like some Beyonce song. And I'm like, this is perfect. And like,
I'm fine with that.
Like all of the four lovers end up like making out with each other at some point because of Puck. And it's like this perfect little wonderful little nugget of sweetness for like 2020. And it's just being released. So guys, there are and Stratford.
But they can do that because the British government funds the arts more than America does.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the British government just threw in like $1.8 billion to help the Arts Foundation over in England. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm moving. You guys seem to take care of people over there. But like they do, and like, what was it? One of their ones that they did the I can never say it right. Coriolanus. Is that the Shakespeare play?
Coriolanus.
That one. And that had like Tom Hiddleston, and they did the Shakespeare one with Benedict Cumberbatch, where the guy who he played, I can't remember who he plays against. So he's playing, so it's Benedict and some other guy. And one night they play the monster and the creator, and then the next night they switch.
So that was one that I missed. I really, really wanted to see it. That's Frankenstein.
Yes.
And that's with Johnny Lee Miller, who was so it was a play of double Sherlocks because he was Sherlock Holmes in elementary. So yeah, they would flip. So one of them would play Victor and one of them would play the monster, and then they would flip. And then apparently I heard on the YouTube channel, they put up both versions. You could choose which one you wanted to see.
And I missed it. And I'm so
I missed it too. I missed it too.
Angry. And like,
but I would pay $50 to watch it. I would.
But see, here's the thing is I've gone onto their website. I have sent them emails and they're like, it's free for like educational purposes. And that's all it's for. So I've been like posting to my friends over in the UK. Guys, if you have friends in the UK that are teachers, give me their information because they can log in. They can request a free link to access their entire catalog. Like it's got James Corden doing Two Governors. Like it's so like
because otherwise they're like, stop emailing us, you yank.
What's this bird doing? We said no. But yeah, it's just theater is just it's such lifeblood. And like I mean, especially having worked in it for as long as I did, like I spent pretty much 7 years straight just immersed in theater, day in and day out. And like Lynn sent out a tweet at 11:30 p.m. the night of the 3rd, West Coast time. So it was like, 30 minutes before midnight when Hamilton was getting released. And he tweeted out, I think it was something like stage management. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 30-minute call. And I like burst into tears. And I was like, you have no idea.
He got the guy who was the stage manager. The stage manager recorded a video.
Oh.
And he put up the video. I saw that on Twitter. Like, so the actual stage manager of Hamilton did the 30-minute call for the movie of Hamilton. Because that's the thing too. Like you learn very quickly, like in theater, in film, in television, it's like, it's not like just the director or the lead actors. It's the 400 other people that are also working on the show, and you're all doing it together. And it's like, that's the thing I love about working in television is that everybody brings something to it. Like when you have like a great art director, I mean, you just write a line in a script that you say like a dank, dusty bar. And then when you see their designs and they're like, oh yeah, I got this pattern that's kind of like falling apart because I see this character's life like a subway and I want you to think about the subway. And you're just like, what I never thought about that. I just wrote dank, dusty bar.
Yeah. Like,
but
amount of talent that is involved with every like tiny minutia detail of these shows is just amazing. But like I literally got taken aback and like had to tweet. I responded to it. I'm like, I hope you see this because like I don't need a response. I don't need acknowledgement. Like I just want you to know that like that tweet broke me, and I was like, I miss the sound of an excited crowd in a lobby, and I miss the ding of the bell telling people to go to their seats, and I miss the sound of the orchestra hitting that first note of the overture or the show because. But that's the amazing part about Hamilton is that there is no overture.
No, yeah.
It's just bump ba-da-da-dum, bump bump ba-da-da, and like that's how the show starts. There's no like there's no warming up. You don't hear the orchestra warm up hardly at all. Like it's unbelievable, and it just starts. But like just having that and like knowing that that's not a part of anyone's life right now, just like. Dude, I'm gonna start crying because it's like emotional, but like it's such an important part of life. Like that's what everybody is saying right now is, and like I hope that after all of this ends, that people take it seriously when they go in to vote for like funding for schools and realize just how important the arts are.
Because it's all anybody's been consuming for the last 3 months.
Exactly. Like what the fuck else have you been doing?
Yeah. What do you think's been? Video games, movies. Music, books, it's all art.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like every time you defund art, it's like it's the thing that kept you sane the last 4 months and will for the next however much longer we're in this eternal hell of 2020.
I don't even count days anymore. I'm like,
oh, we're past 150 something, I think.
Oh no, now. I mean like I don't even keep track of what day it is. Like the only reason I know that it's Thursday is because I set an alarm in the morning to let me know that today I have a show. That's it.
I have this weird part of my brain that kind of always knows what day of the week it is. Like for some, I don't know why this is about me, but weekdays or days of the week have different feelings in my mind, and I don't know why.
Everybody has it.
Yeah, Thursdays feel different than Fridays, and then Saturdays and Sundays. You know, like it's hard for me to get anything done on a Friday because I'm just like, oh, okay, I know Saturday's coming. Yeah. So I'll usually turn like Fridays into my like. I'll try to avoid writing on Fridays if I can, because like I'll just be like, okay, this is when I'm going to do all the like just nonsense that I don't want to do because I'm just not going to be able to focus.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I totally get that. There have been a lot of days where I've woken up and I'm like, okay, today feels like a Tuesday. What's the over under of how many days off I am? And then I'll check my phone. It's like whatever you have to do to keep yourself occupied and like entertained at this point. Have you been watching, like, because you haven't had to watch anything for studying in the last almost 2 years, jealous. Like do you, and especially with this now, like, you know, forced intubation time of, you know, ingesting all of this media and all of this art, have you found yourself like going back and watching movies that you completely forgot about, or like listening to bands that you loved that you know, had lost by the wayside of growing up?
No, not really. I've found lately, like, I just wanna, like, it's funny, recently, my pandemic's been full of, like, stuff that's pretty challenging because I love media that just inspires the hell out of me. I love watching, like, a television show where I'm like, oh, boy, I don't think even in my best day I could ever write that. Now, you know, I know that's, you shouldn't say that, and you definitely shouldn't say that, but, like, I watch some shows and I'm like, damn, I can't write Watchmen HBO. Where did that come from? So that's like, I rewatched that. But no, like I've been doing a lot of that. Like I've been going back to a lot of classics, a lot of like the AFI top 100 classics. And I've been trying to watch stuff. I've been trying to use the pandemic to use it as the excuse to be like, well, I've always talked about watching this weird thing, but I keep putting it off. Now's the time to watch it.
What is that weird thing?
Trying to think about some of them. Again, it all blends together, man. So we rewatched, and this is something I haven't watched since I was 10 years old, but I did watch it. I suggested this. We went back and rewatched the 1977 ABC miniseries Roots.
Oh my God. It's the perfect time to do that. Yeah.
We didn't watch the new one. I was like, we have to watch the 1970s. LeVar Burton, Lou Gossett Jr., John Amos, and Ben Vereen. And I'll tell you what, except for some of the like 1970s clothing, it actually really holds up.
Mm-hmm.
It really holds. Like some of the music is very 70s and very like there's some moments where they're trying to be like bah, 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 and you're like, you really shouldn't be trying to do a comedic moment in a slave movie, guys. You really shouldn't be doing this. But you could tell like some television ABC executive was like, we need the zinger here.
Yeah.
But
would it be funny if no?
Yeah. But it
no Matthew Johnson.
Really, God, it holds up, and you can find, you have to buy it on Amazon Prime, you have to rent it. It's on Amazon Prime, but I highly recommend it. It slaps you across the face. It still is just as relevant, and it's over 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
I went back and watched because my dad's the anniversary of my father passing was just like this last weekend, and so like I figured out that like, you know, I used the last day that he was, because he passed away like really early morning on the 6th, and so I used the 5th to go back and watch all of the things that we used to love together.
Oh, that's a good way to celebrate him.
I mean, he's the one who like gave me my love of movies. So like, sure. You know, I went back and watched. I was feeling a little masochistic early in the day, so I went back and watched Field of Dreams.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. And then
movie, but boy.
Mm-hmm. And then I watched A League of Their Own because he had 3 daughters, and we all played softball, and he coached all of us, and like he loved that movie for us and loved it.
Did you finish it off with Bull Durham or For the Love of the Game? Which one?
I didn't. I was feeling a little like raw on the baseball, but to be fair, it would have been Bull Durham because he loved that movie. Like when I used to tour, I used to take a little container of his ashes, and like he has traveled with me to all 50 states and Europe. He has his ash. I know this is massively illegal, but like I sprinkled his ashes in the Vatican. Not supposed to do that. That is consecrated ground. But my dad confirmed as a Catholic, so fuck it. Yeah. Our last name is Silvestrini. What are they gonna do?
That's right.
But like
he's gonna walk through the hallways like, it smells like a Silvestrini in here.
Who let a Silvestrini in?
Who dropped the Silvestrini in here?
But we actually got
to talk to the Archbishop.
Somebody call California.
I don't know why he sounds like Mario. So
I mean, to be fair, stereotypes come from facts.
Yep.
But we were the first time that I was in Durham, North Carolina. The theater, DPAC, which is one of my favorite. Like honestly, guys, if you're anywhere near North Carolina when this all opens up again, go to DPAC. Go to Heavenly Wings beforehand. They have the best freaking buffalo wings I've ever had. And those are vegan. And I fed them to people who eat meat and they love them more than the chicken wings. Amazing place. But the theater is literally like a 30-second walk from the stadium that Bull Durham takes place in. Like that's where the Bull Durhams play, or the Durham Bulls play, because I can speak.
Can I ask you, sorry, a little bit question on the beaten path? Did you ever see the stage version of Bull Durham? I never have.
No, I would love to though.
I don't know. I've heard mixed things, but I figured you as the theater nut maybe had seen it. So
no, I haven't.
Okay.
No, it's because working in theater doesn't necessarily allow you a lot of time to go see theater, which is very sad.
Yep.
But so I had a little jar of his ashes, and I went and ended up meeting. We were there for a week. I ended up meeting one of the guys that was doing like the lawn work or something, and I was like, "Hey, can I get on the lawn like just for a second? Can I get in like the outfield?" And he's like, "Yeah, you go ahead." And so he like let me in and let me wander around, and I like got to sprinkle his ashes at home plate. It was really sweet. So I would have finished it off with Bull Durham, but I did finish it off with my dad was a big Western guy, and so every year we would watch through. I don't know if you've ever seen Centennial.
No, I haven't.
That is a very, very intense commitment, which I did not do this time. But we would watch it at least once a year, and the other one that we would watch once a year would be Lonesome Dove. And
Lonesome Dove is one of the best Westerns ever made.
It's Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones, and how do you go wrong with those two? The answer is you don't. And
music by Basil Pordoris.
Perfect.
No, that Lonesome Dove is fantastic, and the book is
the book is fantastic. phenomenal.
The book is probably the greatest Western book of all time. No, Lonesome Dove doesn't get enough credit. It is legit, like, so good. I've never seen Centennial. It's so interesting. I'm a big Western fan. My favorite movie of all time is a Western.
Which one?
It's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Perfect.
It's my favorite movie of all time because I think it does everything a movie should do. It has amazing music. It has just when the characters talk, it is right on the right on the beat. Because I think the biggest problem in modern movies is characters talk too much. And film was a visual medium, and I think also as well, like, so many great angles, and I think the story is so simple. And Ennio Morricone, who we just lost. Fantastic score.
Yeah, I mean, I have Centennial if you want it. I have it on my hard drive. So because you can't find it anywhere, and I don't even remember. I don't even know how I got a copy of it, but I have it, like, the digital file on my hard drive, and I'm just like waiting because it's like 12 episodes, but they're like almost 2 hours each. So it's like, we would legit spend a weekend every year just like watching 12 straight hours of Westerns.
TV miniseries are a thing, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they're kind of coming back, and I'm really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there hasn't been a lot of like, must-watch TV in the past like 10 years almost. Like, it's all been very like, oh, I'll just wait for it to stream, or like it just comes out as streaming. Whereas like with the miniseries, or things that are more in depth, because like a lot of ideas get ruined because they get put into the TV format. And like it just dilutes the story too much because it's not the form it should be in. Or
I call that devs.
Yeah. Oh Jesus. That show is beautifully done though.
Hey, it's a beautiful show, but Gorgeous. It was a 3-hour movie that did not need to be 8 hours long. It
could have been a 2-parter. I could have done with a 2-parter. Yeah.
Well, like, it's funny. You were talking about like the sort of like weird TV miniseries. I weirdly think like HBO Chernobyl was kind of that. Like, it's like, because it's like 7 episodes, and you're like, and that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, but like sometimes they'll take like a really great idea that like needs to be like 6-7 hours, and that's it, and they like cram it all and chop it to shit and shove it into like an hour and 45-minute movie, and I'm like, please, just like just don't force the material into a format that yields what you think are the positive results. Like, just be true to the actual like art that is in existence and give it the best format for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see more of that. And I think that a lot of writers nowadays are starting to like stand up for themselves when that happens and be like, no, it's not going to be a 2-hour movie. It's going to be a 2-part miniseries. It's going to be an hour and a half each because you do need that extra hour, and no one's going to sit down for 3 hours and watch it because, oh my God, The Irishman, shoot me in the fucking head.
I've not seen it, and I don't think I will. I don't think I will.
I think I tweeted out. I think my description about it was like trying to watch an 80-year-old man with ED try and masturbate for 3 hours. Like, it's just
review.
It's just, it literally is, it just seems like an excuse for those men to get together and hang out. And it's like, they're all playing their most iconic roles from their different movies, but they're all the same. And it's like,
Did you see the video where somebody did one of those, what do you call it?
When the de-aging?
Well, so somebody on the internet did the deep fake of them from like so they took like Robert De Niro from Raging Bull, and they took Joe Pesci from like Goodfellas, and they did the special effects, and it looked so much better than what was actually in the movie. And you were just like what? How could you guys spent? It's like the most expensive thing Netflix has ever made, I think.
Yeah. It was insane. And I think that he bragged about using like free software in order to do it. So it wasn't even like custom. It was like shit like that. I'm like, you're just spending money for money's sake. Like,
it's the same thing as the Henry Cavill mustache thing.
I can't.
Yeah.
It makes me so angry. Like, I don't walk out of very many movies. I haven't walked out of very many movies in my life. I was this close to leaving that movie just because I was like, I can't. I'm like, he's 30 feet tall. It's right. Like, how did they not think of that? Like, it's just awful. And he's so handsome. Why would you do that to him?
He's a good looking man.
Ugh. I miss Saturdays and staring at him with Andraco, but no, yeah. I mean, there's just so much that just kind of like gets lost by the wayside with, you know, executives mulling over things. It just makes me a little angry. But so when you write, do you get in like, do you play certain music when you write, or do you just kind of like delve into it and like dissolve into a world that you're creating? Or
it depends. I sometimes find that music can knock you out of it. I'll generally make a playlist, but sometimes like I find I get bored with the playlist. It can't be anything with words though. Because anything with words will influence. You'll start having your characters talk like the song you're listening to, so it really won't work. Whereas like orchestrational stuff, that's why I listen to so many movie scores. That's the reason why I always, like, everybody would talk about in the Schmoedown, everybody would be like, oh, scores and soundtracks is my weakness, and I'd be like, no, it's a strength. Like, I know every one of them. But I usually spend a lot of time on like kind of the pre-production side. I don't know if that's a bad term, but like sort of like the outlining phase and figuring out, like, I really want to know like why my character is doing said thing. Because what I find what happens is every time you're writing a script for anything, comic book or movie, anything like that, your character is always, or you're going to come up with an idea that you did not have in your outline and you did not have in that. And you're going to be like, oh, but I need to do this because like it just seems to flow so naturally. And the only way you can make that work is if you know how your character would actually think about it or react to it, or does it serve that? Because if it doesn't serve that, you got to throw it away. And it's so interesting because I think we all know movies where we all have movies where they're like so close to perfect except for like one scene. And you always feel that one scene because it's that one scene. It's where the writer didn't cut that scene because the character is not acting like themselves, or it's not serving like what the character wants. So I spend a lot of time. There's a neat thing that I like stumbled upon like last year that I think is so genius when you're writing something, especially when you're writing something fictional. And it's this idea of like, before you write, you should always know, what does your character want? What does your character need? So your want is always an external thing. So like the easiest way would be like, I want money. Cool. To pay rent. I want money to pay rent. Cool. But what do you actually need? You don't actually need money to pay rent in the end, you know, at the end of the run. What you actually need is you just want stability. Yeah. So it like, and usually your need is always an internal thing. So the easiest way to like write something powerful to figure out if a scene works for a character, and you can do this to any movie or any television show you're watching. If your character gets what they want, you should punish them. And if your character gets what they need, you reward them. So the easiest way to think about this is like Star Wars. So Luke wants to leave home. He wants to leave home. Okay. But what does he need? He needs faith, because that's what the Force is. He needs to trust this invisible force that he doesn't quite understand. So when he goes and gallivants around with Obi-Wan because he wants to leave home, what happens? Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru get vaporized. He gets punished. Yeah. You know, but when he trusts the faith, he blows up the Death Star. Yeah. You know, so it's like I always am like internally like that. So like and a long about way to answer your question, I spend a lot of time in that. I have like these long Google Docs that are like 4 pages or 5 pages or 10 pages of just like every thought I've ever had. Be like, well, they should act like this, and they should act like this, and they should think about this. And then I try to break that down into like page numbers. Even in a film script, I'm like, okay, like that'll be 3 pages, that'll be 4 pages, that'll be 5 pages. And then I just try to write and see what happens. And I try to fit it in as best as I can. Because I find the situation that's death for a writer and is, and everybody likes to think it's writer's block, which is not true. It's the dead page. And when you stare at a dead page and you don't know what to type, it's because you haven't thought about what your character wants and what your character needs and what would they think. It means you don't know your character well enough. You know, so writer's block is the excuse that everybody wants to use, but writer's block is actually you just being like, you thinking about the want and need, and you have like 10 different versions. Like you're like, oh, they could want this, and they could want this, and they could want this, and they could want this. And it's just like, you just need to know which one of those it is. And you just need to choose. And sometimes you'll write a draft. I did this last year. I wrote 65 pages of a TV pilot. And I wrote it out, and I was like, yeah, this is exactly right. Like, I think this is great. Here we go. And I gave it to my friend. My friend read it and said, oh yeah, this doesn't work because your character doesn't know what they want. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh shit, you're right. And so
thank you.
that pilot has set on a shelf for an entire year, and now I'm finally rewriting it with a completely different want. And that happens sometimes, sometimes, you get in the weeds. So,
yeah, I like being that person for people. Like because I'm the behind the scenes. Like I'm the producer. Yeah. I'm not the writer. I'm not, the director or whatever. Like I'm not in that creative film, but I will read, like, Alex writes music. And so like every now and then he'll like read his lyrics to me, and I'll be like, I don't know, maybe like, see how it sounds when you do this, or see what happens if you switch these lyrics or something. And like he'll be like, that works out so much better. I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad I could help. And he's like, I always feel bad for asking. I'm like, no, I love helping. I love it because I don't have that creative mindset of like building something out of my imagination. Like I'm more like, I'm not that, ethereal. I'm more cerebral. And so it's like I like pointing out certain things about storylines and like asking questions because maybe I don't understand it, and if I don't understand it, maybe somebody else won't. But like trying to clarify and like help like narrow down, like cut the fat out, and like really like focus on that story. I love, because there's nothing better than a good story. I mean, when it all comes down to it, whether it's Broadway or movies or music, like they all tell stories, and the reason that you get invested is because it's a good story. It's a clear story. It's something that you can connect to. So like it's just. Oh, it's so nice. I love it.
And here's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize about stories. And I think a lot of like genre fans, like superhero fans, don't realize this either. Stories are all simple. Hamilton is a story about a guy who was so prideful he got his family killed.
Yeah.
That's all Hamilton. That's the entire, he was so self-absorbed he got his family killed. That's it. It's the entire story. It's like it's like every Marvel movie can be boiled down to that one sentence. And it's like, it's always like, that's another test too. Like if you're writing, if you can't boil it down to that one sentence, you're not thinking about it right. Or you're too complicated, or you're too obsessed with plot, because like nobody cares about plot, because plot is the chicken crossed the road. He either died or he didn't. That's plot. Yeah. But like story is like, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, he crossed the road because he needed to feed his family, or else they would die. And you're like,
what season was it? And what kind of road was it?
Yeah, you're like, that's a compelling story, and it doesn't mention the road once.
Yeah, because he needs to feed his chicken family.
Yeah, he needs to feed his little chicks. His little chicks got to eat.
I just wonder if that's going to be the plot for Chicken Run 2, because I heard that they were doing a sequel, and I would love.
That's a great movie. I actually like Chicken Run 1.
I mean, to be fair, anything that's British and claymation, sign me up, because Wallace and Gromit, perfect movies.
Yeah, Wallace and Gromit. That's a great movie. Yeah. But no, that's the thing. Like, I'm. I'll bounce it around for a lot of times. I'll write like lots of Google Docs, and then eventually I'll get to a point where I'll set myself a deadline and be like, I have to come up with something, because like, it's always better to have the bad version than to have nothing. And starting is always the hardest part. Like, so there's a thing in all creative fields, but I find a lot of it is in writing. And because I get these questions so many times where people are like, well, I want to write this book, but like, how would I go about developing characters and the family, and then this and then this and then this and then this, and one, you want to be like, well, one, I'm not going to write your story for you, dude.
Yeah.
Or lady who's asking me this. That's your work. But two,
it's California. Dude is a gender neutral term. It's fine.
That's true. There you go. But also, everybody's looking for the magic key. Everybody thinks that there is this mystical key. Like if I say the perfect thing right now during this podcast, that suddenly you're going to be like, there it is. That's why Stephen King can write 200 books. Here I go. And the story comes out. And the truth is that the magic key doesn't exist. There is no magic key. There is no secret. It's honestly, you just have to sit down and fucking do it. You have to sit down and type or handwrite or write
or dictate.
Or dictate. Yeah, whatever you're thinking. You just got to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's something in you that needs to get out, just fucking get it out. Just do it. Get in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, don't hurt anybody in the process, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. But I always say, like, I always say to them that, like, even if you were to only write 1 page a day, in a year you'd have a novel.
Yeah.
In a year you would have 3 screenplays. If you wrote 90-page screenplays that are an hour and a half, you'd have 3 screenplays. If you just wrote 1 page a day, and 1 page a day, you can knock out a page in about 30 minutes. Yeah. If you're trucking, if you're going really good. I really found, like, for some reason in a screenplay, like my like perfect is like somewhere around 5 pages a day. Ooh. If I'm going, like, if I have a good day, it's like 5 pages a day, which is weird. And of course you have to write wave it, but I don't know. That's just, I don't know. Does that answer your question? I feel like we went a long ways around. And
there's, like I told you before, there is no like absolute structure for this. Like, we're just flying by the seat of our pants, having a great conversation.
Well, Eric Barnes has a great comment that is perfect for writing.
This one? When it comes to writing, you got to shred the biscuit if you want the barbecue. Okay, Eric, now I'm hungry.
Eric, see that right there. That is a writing quote worthy of Aristotle.
Put that on a t-shirt.
You got to shred the brisket if you want the BBQ sandwich.
I mean, he's not wrong. It's perfect. It's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, it's totally true. Like, you got to break it down. Like, that's the thing I love about TV writing, is because TV writing is all about the writer's room. And when you're in that room and like, you're just throwing out ideas, it's just like, because somebody else will always think of a better idea than you. They always will, every time. And so I love this idea that you like do, and then here it is.
Yeah. What was it? When I was living in Nashville, I went to go see a friend of mine at, like, I'm not even joking. It was called like the Full Moon Horror and Tattoo Expo. Ridiculous. At like some like hotel near the airport. And so I went, and she and I are in the hotel bar, like having drinks, and like some of her friends started joining us, and we started getting like plowed. And then the guy who played the original Jason came and sat down with us, and we were like knee deep in a script idea about like this guy who kills people from his scent. Like, he can smell sin. Yeah, he's massive. Like,
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he makes me feel petite, which is why a large part of why I love him. He's like 7 feet tall and like shoulders like this. But we were like just literally sitting around drunk, spitting out like the worst ideas, and then like somebody started putting it into a script, and I'm like, guys, we have to make this movie. It was like our sequel was going to be called Resniffercation, and like
Kane Hodder is his name. The comments helped us out.
Did they? There it is. Yes, thank you, Saul.
Yep, Kane Hodder. He's huge.
He's so big. He makes me feel like a child standing next to him. It's so great. I don't get to feel small very often, so when I get to it, it makes me very, very happy. We do have a Streamlab, guys. We're gonna wrap up because Jason has to be off in a little bit. So give us another 10 minutes. If you want any questions come in for either Jason or myself, send them into Streamlabs at the link. Michael K wants to know, or says, hey, Jason, hope you've been doing well during the quarantine. Let's say a streaming service like Netflix picks up the rights to Jupiter Jet sometime in the future.
Oh, please, God, I hope they do.
What would be the better medium to adapt the story? TV show or film?
A film wouldn't be a bad idea, but I think we really want it to be an animated cartoon. I think that it would just be the best format for it. And if that was the case, then like each volume, we'd have to expand each volume out, and it'd have to be like 10 episodes each. 10 like 5 episode seasons. So like I guess television. I would prefer television, but I'll tell you what, they come to the movie author. Let's go.
I mean, I would love it to be like almost in the vein of like She-Ra, of like because that show just is
a fan of ours told us, and we've been trying to get it into our hands. If they ever made it live action, the perfect actress to play Jupiter Jet is Sophia Lillis from It.
Oh yeah, she'd be fantastic.
Because she like looks exactly like Jackie, but we've got to get her now before she grows up.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say you better put her in cryo freeze because like and like
or else she'll be like
months,
25 playing a 16-year-old, which is not unheard of.
It's not unheard of, but I think that she'll end up like looking way like in the next like year, she's just gonna just blossom into like this like full grown like like she can't play 13 or 16. Like she just
I will say this: Netflix has seen Jupiter Jet. I will just say that.
I mean, you know how I feel about Jupiter Jet, and it just makes me happy. So if that happens, I would be incredibly thrilled, not just for you, but because then I get to ingest more of that story. Because, like I said, like I'm story driven. Like if a like I don't care how terribly it's expressed. If it's a fun story, if it's a good story, it's like I'm addicted to stories. Like I love it. I think that's why I love the band Coheed and Cambria so much, because they're like they are an anthology band. Like their music tells a story. They put it into they've put it into comic book and graphic novel form. It's the Never Ender series, the Amory Wars. Amazing, beautiful, and like you can literally read the book and like listen to their music at the same time, and it like tells the story. It's like a medium separated musical almost.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, actually, Steven Spielberg was in talks with them about a while ago about adapting it into a movie, and I was like, PJ is a huge fan of theirs as well, and PJ and I were like children on our first Christmas. Like we were like, yay! One of our favorite directors and one of our favorite bands working together. This would be amazing. Yeah, it just God, there's so much to like. If you could adapt anything other than yours, what would you adapt?
Okay, here you go. I have two answers for this. So my first answer is, if it's a novel, I am dying to write a big budget 2-hour screenplay that will update Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, because that is one of my favorite 19th century books. I don't think it's ever gotten a great adaptation. The best adaptation it's ever gotten was that Disney movie that was in the 60s, which is not terrible, but I think you can adult it up a little bit and make it more in the style of Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think it would be a movie that would like knock the socks off the box office. I think people would be like, holy crap. Because it's just a good tale. So that would be the novel one. If I could remake something, or I could take a movie that's kind of dead right now, I want to do Highlander as a television show.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to take the original concept of the movie where it's Christopher McLeod, and I want to do 5 seasons leading to The Gathering. And then, you can introduce Duncan. I just think it's a franchise that like has been handled so badly, and they keep talking like every once in a while where they're like, oh, we're going to bring it back. And they keep talking about Ryan Reynolds. And I think Ryan Reynolds is a terrible choice for that part. But anyways.
I love Ryan Reynolds, but that is not the role for him.
Yeah. I think there's a way to do it that I think would be really exciting. And I think Outlander has proven that people kind of want some of that older style television. So those would be the two things if I could pick.
Outlander also like incites needs to watch that show for very, very different reasons than Highlander would, I would think.
Yes, but
I mean, if you can get him teaching us how to fold a kilt again, I'm totally down for it. No, I mean, I am a big fan of Treasure Island. I do think that Disney's Treasure Planet did a really beautiful adaptation of that book. It's just completely overlooked, which makes me incredibly sad, because it really is a great movie. It's so much fun, and it tells the story perfectly, but like differently. I love the way that it does like kind of juxtapose like space with it's a nice because it's like the final frontier back in the day. Like everybody thought that there were these crazy giant monsters under the sea that were going to come up and eat you if you sailed like beyond the horizon. I mean, not saying there aren't, because who knows what's down there, but like in space is the same thing. Like who knows what's out in space? Like oh my God, yes. I'm sorry. Yes,
Eric, I love you to death. I rewatched Muppet Treasure Island 6 months ago. Does not hold up. Does not hold up.
As an adult, you're not supposed to watch any of the old Muppet movies without being stoned or drunk. I have discovered
Incorrect.
this.
The Muppet movie, 1978's The Muppet Movie, holds up perfectly. It is still the best Muppets movie, and it's a fantastic. That one is the original Jim Henson ones. You do not need to be stoned or drunk. They all hold up.
Oh, do the Great Muppet Caper.
Here's the problem. Kermit should have been the kid, not some new human actor. The fact that Kermit doesn't show up for 45 minutes. Kermit, the lead Muppet. That's like making a Justice League movie that Batman never appears in. Are you kidding me? But Muppet Christmas Carol is the better of the two.
Oh yeah, 100%. A Muppet Christmas, like, dude, you can't like. Just the fact that Michael Caine acted as if each of the Muppets was an actual actor, like you can't beat that. Okay,
no, Muppet Treasure Island, because it should have been Tim Curry and Kermit against each other that entire movie, not some random kid.
Yeah, nobody cares about the kid.
Yeah,
nobody at all. My brother in the den, Saul, says, "Hey Jason, speaking of Spielberg and storytelling, does it enrage either of you that the most famous director of our time consistently ends his stories with fucking coincidences?"
What specifically is referring to?
Yeah, Saul, do you want the link? Because we have like a few more minutes.
Because E.T., they build the phone and they call. That's not a coincidence.
I think recently.
Okay, well, I haven't seen Ready Player One because I've heard it's bad and I don't care.
Who are you listening to? It's enjoyable. The story's fun. The effects are.
I will never watch that. Rachel, I love you. I will never watch that movie.
And that's fine.
Talk about the absolute wrong director to direct that movie. Like,
I mean, he's doing West Side Story, which I am like.
Also the wrong choice for that.
I'm like, I mean, maybe. You never know. It could come out being fantastic. All I know is I am dying. Like, the fact that everything is getting pushed back, I'm getting closer to my dreams of doing a musical double feature in a movie theater with In the Heights and then going to West Side Story. Do you know how, like, I am so fucking excited. Like, I might wear tap shoes to the theater. I do not care. Like, I might wear my LaDuca.
I'm very excited for Into the Heights.
It's so good. Like, I mean, I live with Alex Arizona, who is like the biggest fan of that show, and it's phenomenal.
Saul did point out, like, so he said Jurassic Park, AI, War of the Worlds. Okay, so two of your choices are bad movies. And Jurassic Park, I do admit they win because the T-Rex comes out of nowhere.
Because she's the hero.
That's the trend of Spielberg, just it being 3 movies, though.
I don't know. We can have you on another day and have you and Saul duke it out over that. It would be. I
don't think it's that common, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I like Spielberg, but I know exactly what I'm getting when I go to like a Spielberg movie. Like,
well, it's also Spielberg has, as he's gotten older, he's gotten he wants the happy ending. Like, I really like Minority Report.
Yes.
Up until the point where Tom Cruise suddenly just comes out of nowhere, out of the freezing center, stops the guy, and then we get a voiceover telling us that everything worked out, happy ending, yay. Because to me, that's based on a Philip K. Dick story. Philip K. Dick's storytelling style is very different from Spielberg. Philip K. Dick would have ended that with him getting locked into the cryo chamber, and the world just keeps on suffering. That's a Philip K. Dick story. But that's where the movie should have ended. And if the movie had ended there, I'd have been like, this is perfect. This is like one of his greatest films. Amazing. But the fact that he went for 15 more minutes to be like, it all works out, and here's a montage.
Here's the nice little bow that we tied it all together with. Look, it's satin. Enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, he's still a great filmmaker, but as he gets older, and you get older, you change. Yeah. That's what happens.
I mean, Tarantino hasn't hit that stride of like, growing out of that 12-year-old mentality. And I think that is a huge reason of why his movies do so well. Like, because it does still maintain that like harsh brutality, like 12-year-old boy, like Rage Against My Father.
But his movies have changed though. He's changed his movies now to where he likes history now, if you notice this. And he started this with Django. So like now he's like, okay, I'm doing the story of a spaghetti Western, but it's during the Civil War. Hateful Eight is I'm doing a Western, but it's a stage play. And it's about these murders. It's sort of like the Donner Pass almost of Westerns. And then Once Upon a Time in
Can we get that on stage? Like, please, dear God, this is LA.
Yes,
I literally saw a musical version of Silence of the Lambs called Silence, and it was one of the fucking funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was a parody, like, musical. Oh my God, it was so good. Like, if we can get that, and they have like a Christmas production of Die Hard on stage, we can get the stage play of Hateful Eight, and I want it so
it is a stage play.
badly. Like, it really is. Like, that's all it's written for. It's one set, 2 sets. That's all you need. The stagecoach and the house. Like, that's what more you need.
Yeah,
you could even have.
You could probably move all the stagecoach scenes into the house.
Yeah, and like the scene where they go out, like with the tethered, like with the rope to like go out to the bathroom or whatever. Like, you could have that go out into the audience and have it be interactive, and it would be epic.
Yeah, it'd make a great play. I didn't like it as a movie. But I think it would make a great play.
I mean, it was okay as a movie. I didn't like hate it, but it, like, for me, I was like, it's a Tarantino movie. All right, like Kurt Russell, he's awesome. Yeah. Okay. But like, also, there's just like so much fucking violence. There's so much blood in that. All right, guys, Jason has to get going. So if anybody has any more Streamlabs, send them in right now. I am refreshing. You have like 2 minutes. we've already got him over time. This is not going to be an epic 3-hour episode like it was. Yeah. Say what?
I'll stay around if there's a couple more questions.
All right, cool.
If anybody has any questions, I'm good.
But so just for me, so what are your favorite bands to listen to?
I'm such a lame-o when it comes to music. I can't escape 70s rock.
Dude,
so
you have no idea how happy that makes me.
I mean, the Beatles are my favorite band of all time. And I can listen to the Beatles till the end of time and never get tired of them. And so I can listen to a lot of the Beatles solos careers as well, like George Harrison in the 70s. I can do that over and over and over. But I don't know. I like a lot of the weird 70s bands like Badfinger and Harry Nilsson, like, and Bob Seger, and just, you know, like a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, like there's a lot of like, I can keep listening. I can keep discovering this 1970s like kind of rock scene over and over and over again, and I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, there have been like weeks where I like go out into the kitchen and I'm like cooking something. And I just have the Allman Brothers playing because like, dude, they just my heart.
But there are some weird like alternative bands that I've discovered this British band that is not very big called Johnny, and it doesn't have an H. It's like Jonny. You can find them on Spotify, and they have like only one album, and they're pretty cool. So like I like that kind of stuff. But I'm so old when it comes to the music scene. Like I don't care.
I would recommend you checking out White Denim. Okay. It's this band from Austin, but I literally heard about them from an ex-boyfriend of mine who was a Royal Marine in Wales. Like he was a massive fan of theirs because they're big in the UK. And so he like would go see them all the time. And so like when I went to visit him, he played me their stuff. Dude, Lemon Corsica is fantastic album, and it's very like groovy, kind of indie 70s type of vibe. It's really good. I think you might really enjoy them.
All right, I'll look into it. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, guys, I am checking one last time. If you have anything for me or Jason, please get that in. Yes, PC, my sweet girl. No question, just very entertained. Thank you guys. Oh my God, you guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for coming on. This is amazing. I miss you, and I am so glad we got to hear about your new projects and you teasing us about the things that we don't get to hear about yet. But I give all of my love to Ashley and the kitties, and I'll see you in just a second. I'm going to take you off, but everybody say bye, Jason. Bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Jason's the best. All right, guys. So next week I have this woman I have looked up to for years and years and years and years, and I finally got to meet her courtesy of the Schmoedown, and she is just one of the most epically busy and wonderful and eclectic and just bright and shiny people. And if you know the name, you know who she is. It is Gray Drake. I don't know how I got this, but I got Gray Drake. She is confirmed. She's coming on next week, 6:30 p.m. PDT. I am so excited. We're going to talk all of the craziness that is going on in movies and music. And she is so fantastic. She is my drinker girl. I love her so dearly. Guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. This was our 13th week, so lucky 13. So excited. Come back next week, and I will see you later. Don't forget to join Patreon. Is all the fun stuff, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, just I love you guys so much. You're the best. I will see you next week. Take care. Be kind to yourselves and to others, and I love you guys all. Now it's time for the awkward dance party.